Alright guys, let's go ahead and talk about Danny today. You know, the free 4-star hunt character you get at the beginning of the game. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about a build guide for him and talk about how good I think he is. I think he can work in a lot of situations. Some situations he's not too good for, and he requires a lot of build-up. So today we'll be going over his light cones, traces, relics, Eidolons, and then finally team builds or teams that you need to run him in, because he does need to be ran with specific characters or specific things to actually do damage. So yeah guys, let's go ahead and talk about it now. Talk about how to build Danny boy here. Yippee. So let's go over his skills first, guys. So his E ability is going to be dealing damage to a single target, and on a crit hit there's a 100% base chance to reduce the target speed by 12%. Now this is going to play into the ultimate, guys, because you get more damage from the ultimate when the enemy is slowed. And then of course I have him E6, which will be playing a really big role, and I'll talk about that when we get to the Eidolon section. But yeah, just for the base ability here, guys, you're going to be wanting him to crit, and you're also going to be wanting him to reduce the target speed. Talking about the ultimate now, guys, he's going to be dealing damage to a single enemy, and if the enemy is slowed, the ultimate's damage multiplier is increased by 96 extra percent, so you are getting a pretty sizable damage increase when the enemy is slowed. And then finally, guys, his talent, whenever he's targeted by an ally's ability, his next wind attacks resistant penetration is going to be increased by 27%. This is just really big. It does a lot more damage. It's going to be bypassing 26% of their resistance, which is just really good for doing more damage, and this effect is triggered every 2 turns. Also, I guess I should mention his technique as well. His technique gives him a 40% attack increase for the first 3 turns of battle, which is also pretty nice. Let's go ahead and talk about the light cones now, guys, because these are really important for him. Alright guys, hopping into the light cones now, the best light cone form, and for every hunt character for that matter, is going to be the In the Night light cone. It's going to be increasing his crit rate by 18%, and when the wearer is in battle, for every 10 speed they have that exceeds 100, the damage of the wearer's basic attack and skill attack is going to be increased by 6%, and the crit damage of their ultimate is going to be increased by 12%, and this can stack up to 6 times. So with this, you really want to be building into speed so he can get all these abilities off, especially the ultimate damage. So you do want to be building up a nice percent of crit rate into him just to make sure he is really critting the enemy. Let's talk about some other light cones you can use for him, guys. And the Stellar Steed is not bad at all for him, just for the fact that you are going to be getting that crit rate increase, and when their HP falls below 50%, you're getting an extra 14% crit rate. This is at S4. Of course, I know this goes up with S5. It goes up to 16 and 16 at S5, and then whenever you defeat an enemy, you're getting an attack buff on top of this. Just the crit rate here is really nice because you'll be able to slow the enemy, which means if you can slow the enemy, you're getting bigger damage from his ultimate off ultimately. See what I did there? Pun. Anyways, yeah, this is really good. This also has 5-star stats as well, and this is also free to get, so yeah, not bad at all for him. Another decent one for him would be his light cones. Only Silence Remains. It increases the wearer's attack by 20%, and if there are 2 or fewer enemies on the field, it increases the wearer's crit rate by 15%. So he's getting just a guaranteed 15% crit rate, or lower if you only have this S1. I have this S2, so you'll be getting some type of crit rate whenever you're actually using this, just whenever you're facing like a boss or something and there's no enemies on the field, really, just 2. So yeah, and then also you get the attack increase as well, which is kind of nice, I guess. Hopping into our handy dandy data bank here, let's go ahead and look at some other ones that are good for him. I would say In the Night's probably the best for him. Cruising the Stellar Sea is probably the 3rd best for him, and Only Silence Remains probably like the lowest as far as best goes. Let's go ahead and talk about Sleep Like the Dead. Sleep Like the Dead would be nice for him, but it doesn't really increase the crit rate until he actually misses a crit. Now Sleep Like the Dead is going to be really nice because it's basically going to be increasing the crit rate if you miss your crit damage hit. This works pretty good for him. I would say it's probably the 2nd best for him. It's alright, doesn't work the best, but it's still pretty good for him. Swordplay, really, really, really good for him. Because you'll be mainly focusing on one target anyways. Now, it's going to take 5 turns to actually charge this up, unlike other hunt characters like Yangqing and Shushang. They'll charge this up in basically 1 to 2 turns. Him, it's going to take all 5 turns to charge this up, so just keep that in mind when you're using Swordplay. Also, Subscribe for More is really good for him because it's going to be increasing the wearer's basic attack and skill damage by 24%, and from what I found, if I'm being honest with you guys, for me, he does more damage from his skill and basic attack than he does from his ultimate, so this could actually come really in clutch for him. Even though it's not giving you any crit rate, it is giving you extra just damage overall, an extra 24% at S1, which is just really, really huge for the skill damage, and it's non-conditional as well, which is nice. So as far as how I would rate the light cones, I would say In the Night is definitely the best light cone for him. Sleep Like the Dead also works pretty good. Cruising the Stellar Sea is a free-to-play 5-star light cone. If you're wanting to go that 4-star route, then obviously you can use Subscribe for More, and that's just really good too. Now let's go ahead and talk about his traces. We'll talk about his bonus abilities first, then how you should actually upgrade his traces. So let's go ahead and talk about his first bonus ability is Hidden Dragon. When the HP percentage is 50% or lower, reduces the chance of being attacked by enemies. It's alright. I mean, it's just reducing the amount of times he's being attacked by enemies. There's nothing really in his passive that really plays off of him being attacked by enemies, so I mean, it's alright. Number 2 is after launching an attack, there's a 50% fixed chance to increase own speed by 20% for 2 turns. This just allows him to really get back up and running a lot quicker. It increases his speed. Like I said, this also plays into the In the Night Light Cone, which will then increase his attack on top of that. And then finally, Hidden Gale basic attack deals 40% more damage to slow enemies. This is alright. I wouldn't say it's that good, but I mean, it does help as far as point consumption goes. I would say the best bonus ability you should get first is Faster Than Light. It's just really cracked, really good. Second would be High Gale, and then third would be Hidden Dragon. So for me personally, guys, what I would recommend leveling up on Danny first would probably be the skill, and then talent, and then ultimate. For me, the skill most of the time hits more damage than the ultimate. It could just be a skill issue on my part, but that's what I found to hit the hardest. So for me, I would recommend leveling up skill, then talent, and then ultimates. So as far as what I would recommend running on him as far as the relic set goes, I would recommend running a full piece eagle set. This is just going to give him the best possible damage output, because at a 2-piece it's increasing his wind damage by 10%, and a 4-piece is going to be increasing their action forward by 25%. So this is just really good for getting him to go multiple times. Another set you could run, which I'm currently running right now, is going to be a 2-piece musketeer and 2-piece of the eagle, because yeah, we're kind of down bad. I don't have any legs for my musketeer, or I don't have any legs for my eagle set right now, so we're running this set right here, and it works out pretty fine. Hopping into like the main stats you would need for him, guys, I personally recommend running speed on the boots, just because having speed really helps him out go quicker. He already is increasing his own speed from his base ability, so with the In the Night Light Cone, this really just helps out really well, just getting all those stats up for him. Now guys, like I said, you don't have to run speed up here. Even though if you're not running In the Night Light Cone, I would still recommend running speed up here, just because you can get his attacks out more, and I feel you do more damage just running speed up here in the long run. But yeah, you can run attack up here if you want, but like I said, I recommend speed. Now guys, talking about his body, what you'll be running for this is either crit rate or crit damage. I've tried running crit rate, I've tried running crit damage. They both do around the same. It's honestly not much of a difference. So right now I'm just running crit damage on him, and it seems to work out fairly decently with him. So yeah, we're just gonna stick with the crit damage for now on him. As far as the planner set goes, guys, I'm just running a 2-piece space stealing station, because a space stealing gives him an increased attack, and then when he hits 120 speed, which is not hard to do, he gets an extra 12% attack. I see some people running Talia Kingdom of the Banditry, which I just don't find to be that good, because it's only increasing the break effect, and I mean, the break effect's the least of your worries with him. You just want to be dealing damage with him. I do recommend running the 2-piece space ceiling. Talking about the planar rope now, or the link rope now, I do recommend running an attack main stat up here. I see people running energy recharge, which can work, but I think your damage would decrease quite a bit running energy recharge up here. Like I said, for me, his ultimate is not the main damage dealer. While it does hit damage sometimes when it crits, most of the time it is my normal skill attack that does the most damage. So like I said, guys, I would recommend running attack up here. If you do have a good crit ratio, maybe you could run energy recharge, and that could be better for him. But like I said, I don't have the good crit ratio right now, so I'm just opting in for the extra base attack. And then finally for the sphere, guys, obviously here you want to be running wind damage. Wind damage is really good for him. Obviously it plays into his main damage source, which is wind damage. You can run an attack down here, though his damage will fall off a lot more. So yeah, like I said, just wind damage down here. Alright guys, so as far as the substats go, it's the same for mostly every DPS in the game. Obviously crit rate, crit damage plays a lot into his kit. Attack percentage is just going to help him get more damage out. Speed is going to make him faster, make him have turns more often. And then finally break effect, just whenever you break the enemy shield, you're just doing a little bit more damage on top of that. That's the main thing I would be focusing on this kit. Obviously the crit rate and crit damage come first. I would say speed comes secondary, and then attack comes third. Break effect comes last if you can't get anything else, but that's the order I would recommend getting his substats in. Now the Eidolons are I have an E6. I won't lie to you guys, I tried to pull for Asta on the banner, and that didn't go well. I pulled literally 7 Dannies. I can't tell you, man. Is down bad. Originally, when I planned to make this video, he was only E1, and now he's E7 or E6. So, yeah, I have an E6 Danny, and I can tell you all the pros and cons from it. The best one by far is E4. This is going to allow him to take immediate action whenever you defeat an enemy with his ultimate. This is just super good. He's basically like a mini Zila if you can kill an enemy. This one right here is decent for like the very beginning of battle, because you're going to be increasing your crit rate at the beginning of battle. well. This one's actually really, really good. E2 is really, really good as well, guys. It's going to be reducing his talent cooldown by 1 turn, meaning you get more resist penetration faster, which is just super, super good. And then finally, guys, the Troubled Souls lie on wait, E6. Honestly, it's just going to be slowing the enemy by an extra 8% with your skill, which I mean, it's okay. It'll help delay some of the enemy's action, but an 8% extra reduction in speed is not really that big. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you need E6. I think E4 would probably be the best for him. If you can get up to E4, I think that'd be really good. He does get pretty big damage increases from E1 to E4, so yeah, that's my recommendation there. Alright guys, hopping into the battle here first, so let's go ahead and show the team off. We're going to be using Japard, Bailu, Ting Yuan, and also the boy Danny right here. The reason why we're running all these buffers on the team is because you do need to have him buff for this team to activate, so you're always going to need to run some type of buffer on the team for him. Also, you're going to need to ensure that you're slowing the enemies to do a lot of damage with them. So let's go ahead and show off him right now. This is going to be like pretty unedited. I'll show every attack he does so you guys get a good grasp of like how good or bad Danny might be in your opinion. So yeah, let's just go ahead. Honestly, let's just go ahead and buff him up all the way here because this is only going to activate for 1 turn. He's going to be slowed here. We probably should have done some type of attack first, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and slow the main lady here. 8,000 damage from the skill. Like I said, pretty good. Now let's go on with the ultimate and show how much his ultimate damage is going to do here. 20,000 damage. See how big damage it is? I mean, he did pretty good damage there because he crit. But let's see if I can show you guys what he does when he doesn't crit, because it doesn't look too good. It's like Zila when she doesn't crit. It doesn't look too good. All right, back to our boy Danny Dong Ding right now. Let's go ahead and put another attack. That's 4,000, so that's a, you know, about 100% decrease on the damage there. He's going to go again. Let's see what he gets with shield break here. An extra 14,000 with a shield break from his skill. Really good, really cracked. He's doing really good this run for me right now, honestly. Now, do keep in mind, he did get a damage buff there from the actual Memory of Chaos, so yeah. All right, go in, Danny Dan Heng. Let's go. 6,000 damage. The enemy is slowed, I believe. Yeah, the enemy is slowed right here, guys, as you can see. The enemy is slowed right here, so she will be taking increased damage here. Let's see how much damage his ultimate is going to do this time. If he doesn't crit, yep, see, when he doesn't crit, he doesn't do much damage, as you can see there. He's not like Zila or any of the other characters where they have like kind of like multiple attacks whenever they do an attack. Basically, you're putting all your eggs in one basket here, so you do need him to crit on that one attack, if you understand what I'm saying with that. Alright, let's go in here. Bing. Yeah, 7,000 damage. Nice shield break damage. And that guy's just about dead now. Honestly, this boss is just about dead overall. Let's just go ahead and do a full buff here as well. He'll get his resist penetration back up. Alright, go back in. Danny Dan Heng. 7,000 damage there. With the buff, you get the increased resistance penetration. Realistically, guys, you want to get that buff up whenever he uses his ultimate. That's what I would recommend as far as that goes. This should, yeah, give his ultimate back up here. Yeah, now what we're going to do is let's kind of show off his damage with his ultimate here. I'm going to go ahead and buff the team up, so he should get this ability about to go off here. So let's go ahead and give him this as well. We'll give him a Ting Yun buff. We'll just get him. Oh, no. Okay, well, no. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. I'm sorry. I'm trolling. Okay, there we go. Now let's just show off what he can do here. I want to make sure that the enemy is kind of, yeah, the enemy's still slowed, so this is still going to work on him. Yep, just want to make sure that's happening. Let's see how much damage he does. This is full max buff, 14k. As you can see, he only got a shield break there. He did not crit, and that's where the damage goes. Yippee-ki-yay. So yeah, guys, you want to make sure that crit ratio is in check, because if the crit ratio is not in check, he will be doing absolute dog water, dog trash damage here. I don't think I showed this before, but yeah, he's a 31% crit rate, so that crit rate needs to come up. His crit damage is not that high either, so yeah, really need to focus on getting more crit rate for him. I think he might hit a little bit harder with that. Alright guys, so I brought him back in here. I went ahead and swapped something around. I went ahead and swapped out his crit rate or crit damage body for a crit rate body. As you can see, we have absolutely even stats here, which is not really too good, but we'll see what the damage increase will be or what the damage output will be. We have a max buff again. We have Ting Yun ult. We have Ting Yun ability. We also have his resist penetration thing going on down here. The enemy is slowed, and we're going to go ahead and hit him with the ultimate just to see what damage. This won't be shield breaking, so if the damage 32,000, okay guys, I might have been wrong. Just build him crit rate. It looks like 11k. Oh yeah, you know, honestly guys, yeah, it's the that was really good. Okay, yeah, he crit there, so that was great. But I mean, that won't happen every single time, but that was with max buff with that. So obviously if you can get the crit ratios in check, I think he'll do really, really good damage for you. He does require a lot of setup for that to happen, because you want to make sure the turn he can use his ultimate actually falls on a turn where he has his buff active. So that's something really big. You want to make sure that's in check as well, guys. We're just going to go through the rest of this run now. I'll be showing off the rest of his damage. This is with the crit rate body instead of the crit damage one. Let's go ahead and see here. Okay, 6,000 damage. Looks like a little bit more consistent damage as well. So I think the crit body is honestly probably a little bit better to run on him. Figuring that out now. Look at this. Okay, let's again 7,000. Yeah, I mean, not bad at all coming from his damage here. I mean, yeah, let's just go ahead and get these attacks off here. I don't want to damage her too much because I want to wait until he gets his ultimate again. Okay, yeah, there we go. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and get him a big boy buff again, or get him buffed up some again. This will not be with Ting Yun buff, so it won't be like as big of a buff here, but it will be a buff nonetheless. Yeah, she should still be slowed. Yeah, she's still slowed. Let's go ahead and see. This is not with Ting Yun's ult as far as damage goes. This is just going to be with Ting Yun's ult. Oh, it was a higher damage, so I think it's just more consistent, honestly. So yeah, I would recommend probably Crit Rate Vest. Crit Rate Vest seems to work for him, but I mean, if you have your crit ratios in check, then you might not need to run that. You just gotta make sure your crit ratio is in check before you actually do that. Okay, and then we kill here, 9,000 damage with a shield break. Absolutely pogger woggers. Let's go ahead and talk about some more teams down that you can run from them. Alright guys, hopping into like a little team build guide here of what you could run for him. So like I said, guys, you do want to make him the priority. You want to make sure he always has a buff on, or a buff on at least every 2 to 3 turns, depending on what your Eidolon status is for him, because a lot of his damage actually does rely on that talent. So the more of that talent you can use, the better for his damage, and you want to try to line everything up with that. That's why it's honestly kind of hard to build Danny. Once you get him built, he hits like really, really good damage, but it's just overall like pretty hard to actually build him, just for the fact that it requires so much build up to actually get him to do damage. It requires the enemy to be slowed. It requires him to be buffed. It requires you to be on the right turn rotation for you to use that with his ultimate and compile everything with his ultimate. It requires a lot of thinking towards the future of like how you want to run him. So yeah, that's why we're running this team right here with Ting Yun, Japard, Bailu. Another team comp you could run. You could run technically March 7th here to target him with a buff. Of course, he's going to get attacked more now, but overall, this is kind of something you want to run here. There are more options you could run on the team here though. Just really any buffer. I mean, you could run Asta here. I mean, Asta gives a buff for the whole team, so you're not having to like necessarily like target him with a buff. So another team comp you could run if you feel comfortable of not running a healer, if you just have a Japard, would be to run a team like this where you have Japard, Asta, Ting Yun, and also Danny. He is kind of flexible with the teams you have to build, but you do have to keep in mind a lot of things have to line up for him to do big damage. But yeah, guys, that's really gonna do it for today's video. As far as future videos coming out, honestly, guys, if you have any ideas for like videos you want to see on the channel, whether that be like react content or anything like that, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see me take on any hot topics, yeah. But as far as like future build guides coming out, after this one we should have a Clara build guide coming out, which I recorded way before all these build guides. I just didn't have time to push it out before this update came out. We'll also be doing a March 7th build guide. We'll also be doing a build guide on Pela, Yukong, and also QQ whenever they come to the game and come out, whenever Locha comes out. And if I pull Silverwolf, I'll do a build guide on her. If I don't pull Silverwolf, I'll be doing a build guide on Locha. I'm also pulling for Kafka. I think I said I didn't want to pull for Kafka, but I really want to use Sampo as DOT, so we are definitely probably going to get Kafka just so I can use Sampo more. Anyways, guys, I hope everyone has a great day. Look at this cool little crown I made him have on his head here. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one later. Bye-bye.